Hello, my name is Santi. Welcome back to another video tutorial. So this time we are going to study how to copy moods from reference and actually how to emulate in our exterior renders. Uh, for this project, pretty much, I would like to explain how is not only the technical process, the technical approach, but also a very interesting techniques that is going to allow you to apply a very accurate match um, with the reference. And let's start. Okay, so first of all, I would like to talk about a little bit about the reference that I decide to use for this tutorial. This is the first reference. This is an image that I bought on Instagram. Okay, something that I really like from this image, it is the overall result. I think the overcast mood plus the amount of fog is creating a very nice depth effect in the image, plus the color grading in my opinion looks super nice because it's not really like a common color grading. I think it looks very filmic, and I really like the mix of the colors. I really like the saturated green slash cream color on the fog and the contrast that we can see, for example, with the very saturated temperature in the lights from the cars. The second reference that I decide to use is this one. Also, I found it on Instagram. What took my attention in this one was the very interesting mix between the color palette. The mixing of the colors actually I think it's pretty interesting. Actually, I never thought that I can mix something like a purple color for a night mood and like a green kind of saturate but really powerful color as the temperature in the artificial lights along the train station. It's super interesting in my opinion. So that basically was the reason why I decided to use this reference. And of course the last one was this one as well. Very interesting, very interesting. um, what I like in this one, I think it is the depth overall. The result is great, but the depth actually, the amount of fog, the amount of mist that we can see in the reference pretty much creates something that looks super atmosphere. Plus, the color grading also looks amazingly accurate. I really love all these dark tones, saturated tones that also um, we can see here. Okay, so now a very important part of the process is understand what it, what kind of things are has like a real color we can say, and what it is color grading, color correction. So once again, let's start with the first one. I think in this one, what I understand, or in the way that I understand this reference, it's pretty much I understand that probably the starting point could be like a neutral, overcast slash misty mood. Okay, so when I get these, I think it's going to be a little bit easier. Try to like match the colors, the contrast, and the saturation depending on what we are watching in the reference, right? So I think in other words, everything is going to be easier if we start with a neutral overcast mood. Well, I think that is my opinion, but for example, the kind of red color, the red color that we can see here in these areas, kind of red and brown. I think this was mainly done in post-processing, in post-production, applying a very nice color grading technique. So probably we can reproduce the same effect by using curves, and definitely I think LUT file also are going to help us to achieve this effect. So the color in the fog, it's very interesting because the majority of the time when we have like a light emitter, the light emitter is going to give the color or the temperature to the fog. And this one is very interesting because we can see like a kind of like a different colors on the foggy part. Here's a little bit like a yellowish. Here's a little bit like green in these areas. So I think that definitely this was done once again in the post-production part of the process. I'm really sure. So once again, I'm going to try to start with a neutral overcast, and I'm going to just try to emulate what I'm watching right now in the reference. Okay, great. So in the second reference that we're going to see, this one, pretty much I think this is a very nice color grading work. Once again, I think that probably we can start with a neutral mode once again and start to copy the colors from the reference and start to introduce that colors in the reference. Okay, so what I really like in this one, for example, is in the brighter areas, you can see there is like a transition or gradient of the color. You know, it starts in this color and eventually it's going to change to this green. Start in this yellow, kind of desaturate, and we start to see this green. Okay, so I think that was done in post-production, but probably we can try to reproduce that directly in Corona by applying like a technique that allows me to introduce two temperatures in one single light. Okay, that will be very interesting. In terms of the and the atmosphere effects like the fog and the sky, yeah, pretty much it's like a night shot. So I'm really sure that also we can just reproduce easily the sky and also the fog. You know, it's going to be easy to reproduce the color of the fog. That is not going to be a problem. So in general terms, once again, in this one, I think the color grading approach, I think looks very filmic. You know, so the colors, the combination of the colors that we are watching here, I think is very unique. That is what basically the reason why this took my attention. And in the last one, I think also once again we can start with a neutral, super heavy overcast in terms of fog. I'm referring. But here it's going to be slightly different because in the way that the fog is working here, it's very interesting. It's like falling down, okay? So basically we're going to try to recreate first the same directionality of the fog. We're going to respect this, okay? And I think for in order to reach this color from here, I think probably maybe a LUT can help us to achieve this, okay? uh, because I know that of course this was color grading in Photoshop, but I think we can reproduce by using a LUT file that I have, and also I think the curves can help us to have this little gradients, especially in the whites. The whites are not like a pure white in this one. The white balance is already cold, but it's not really saturated. Cold temperature is kind of desaturated, partially desaturated, and also here we can see some kind of like a slightly purple color in these areas, but here is green. So that means that I need to work in a different way with the volumetric material in Corona because I have like two main colors that I need to recreate. So that would be very interesting at the moment that we apply the Corona volume material. So probably we can try to customize in a more accurate way once again, trying to introduce at least two colors. Okay, so this one is pretty interesting. Okay, so after do this analysis, in my opinion, it's very clear what we need to do first of all in Corona, what we need to achieve as a base in order that we can just uh, reach the same mood in from the reference. Okay, so in the next part we are going to jump to the technical side. Okay, but in general terms, I would like to give you a suggestion. I think that most of the time, it's important to recognize how rich it is the color in the reference. In my opinion, that could be also an advantage. These techniques that I'm going to show you during this tutorial pretty much is going to allow you to recreate pretty much any kind of mood to any project that you're working on. Okay, I think these kind of moods has a lot of potential in terms of a contest. Okay, because the majority of the time when we are creating images for a contest, create something that looks and feels photorealistic, actually it is the base. So I think this kind of color grading approach, I think this kind of um, mood matching technique, I think can help us to create something that uh, create a more solid link between the audience and the guy who is behind uh, sorry the artist. Okay, because the main idea that we need to every single time we need to introduce in our images, it is the expression. We need to create that connection with the audience. It's not only about create like perfect renderings, you know, with a perfect anti-aliasing, perfect exposure, the lighting reaching until the last hidden corner. No, it's not about that. I think that probably is what you're expecting for a commercial project. But when we are doing like a personal project, I think it's very important have in mind um, that we need to create that connection. And if you want to do that, we need to invest a lot of time learning, for example, storytelling, color grading, color theory, expression. You know, that is basically what really matters when we are developing mood. Okay, great, fantastic. So in the next part, we're going to jump to the technical side. So see you on the next video.